G'day everyone, welcome back to the RDA Central West Business Leaders Breakfast, and I'm really excited. Today we're coming to you live from Byng Street General Store and Cafe, and sitting down with me in the hot seat is Mr. Jeremy Norris, the Director of Byng Street Local Store. Jeremy, welcome to breakfast.
Thank you, Sam. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, great to have you here, mate, and thank you for giving your time up. I know you're very busy. Firstly, can you tell our viewers and our listeners on the podcast a little bit about your connection to the Central West?
So I guess for me, I was born in Young, which is probably a stone's throw from here, a couple of hours drive, and spent most of my childhood there. Had a great time growing up sort of in the bush. And then panning forward 35 years, I came back from 12 months in Scotland, and my sister was living here. So she just moved from Sydney with her husband and their 3 little kids, and we were defrosting after sort of 12 years in Scotland in Noosa, and Sarah said, come down and check Orange out, it's a great spot, it's very foodie, so we came down for a wine week event, I think it was, at the old convent, and loved it, and sort of had a quick shimmy around town and saw a few things, and I think slice of orange is one of the things that rings home then. That was back in those days, and this little shop was for sale, and it was a hair salon where you could get, I think it was mainly nails and a haircut and all that kind of stuff, and I just had a bit of an epiphany and went for it. So we bought the building and went back to Noosa and packed up and
So literally how soon after you had come down to Orange did you make the decision to purchase the store?
I'm going to say weeks.
Okay,
yeah.
It's a sink or swim kind of...
Sink or swim. We were looking for something to do, and Noosa didn't feel right. It wasn't very community-based, but it was great just to have a bit of a break. But Orange sort of ticked all the boxes, and my sister was here, and it was closer to Mum in Albury, and we just thought, we'll give it a go and see what happens.
And look out, and look where you've come to from there. So look, that was 10 years ago that the Byng Street store started under your guidance.
Yep.
You've gone through quite a period of expansion through Orange and the region. What have you learnt through that period for your business?
Thanks, Sam. Yeah, it's been a busy 10 years, and in that time, we've actually opened, I was just having a quick count about it this morning, and I think we've opened 12 businesses in that 10 years. And we've just, I think for us, we've had for me, Byng Street was a sort of almost an adulthood dream. So I'd always been in hospitality. I'd always enjoyed it, and I think I was always been relatively good at it, but I'd never had the opportunity to have my own business. So when this opportunity came up, sort of jumped on board very quickly and grabbed the opportunity with both hands, and watching it flourish the way it did sort of gave me a hunger to try different things and do more things. So, you know, we've had a crack at a few things. We've had the Botanic Gardens, we did lots of weddings and catering, and we had a little cafe at the TAFE there for a while. But look, some things work and some don't, but we've just kept on having a go, and I think we've really found a rhythm now, and we've found the way that we we present our product, and we just think we've got a good offering, and we're consistent, and it's good fun. I like the challenge.
Do you think that's the core to your success, is that consistency of offering through all of the, I don't want to call them outlets, but all of the different cafes and businesses that
I think you've just got to work out what your product is and be consistent, and try and exceed that expectation every time, and that's what we try and drill down with our staff, and it seems to be working.
And you're a business manager and owner now. You were a chef that's travelled the world, as you said, and worked in different places. What was the hardest thing, or what did you learn transitioning, I guess, from worker to owner, operator, manager?
I think the transition there was times where it was difficult, and I do remember, and I was only saying to someone the other day, I remember being in my bedroom here, which is when I was living here, where the coffee machine is now, on my knees, in tears, going, what the hell have I done? This is a nightmare. And it was overwhelming, and I didn't realise how many hours a day you'd have to put in, but the passion was still there, and the hospitality was still there. It was all about delivering an experience to the customer. But yeah, the transition was difficult, and not having any sort of business acumen and formal training in that department, it was sort of a sink or swim, and you've just got to learn the ropes quickly, otherwise you're going to sink. We had a few run-ins with accountants that, you know, we were unaware of what was going on. So we learnt very quickly that I don't know. We just learned that it was a lot. It was a big job.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And someone, I've said this a couple of times on this forum, is if you're going to fail, fail fast. That's the tip.
Probably.
But what do you think is one of the characteristics that you've identified to be a successful business owner? And I guess hospitality is such a competitive industry. What do you think helps, or what's key to making your business, I guess, rise to the top in such a competitive industry?
I think you've just got to, if the bar's raised, you've got to raise it again. I think when we opened Byng Street in Orange, we were here for a little bit before the cafe opened while we were renovating, and the one thing I noticed, and I think it's the thing that gave us the big bounce that we had at the start, was that you couldn't get a coffee on a Sunday, couldn't get a coffee on a public holiday, or brekkie or anything in town. So our little niche when we opened was 7 days a week, and we're open from, I wanted it to be 7 to 7 days, because the ring sounded good, but I think it was 7 to 6, and then it went from 7 to 5, and the reason I did that is because I think it's important that we are all, in this industry especially, you've got to always be there for the customer and open, and subconsciously you want your customer to know Byng Street's open every day. They're open from 7 till 6 or 5, so we know we can go there any day of the year and it's going to be open. And then suddenly if you're closed on a Thursday and they rock up on a Thursday and you're not open, they're like, well, who else is open all the time? I just think you've got to set your targets and go in hard and stick to your guns a bit.
Yeah, absolutely. And we were talking about this just off air, that you guys do open at 7 a.m. and it's good coming in with a young family on a Saturday morning because it's quiet.
Because it's quiet.
And you can get a delicious breakfast. But I reckon you're right. People are creatures of habit. If they find a cafe that they like, they're likely to come back. But you're right, as soon as you're not open when they come in one day, they'll pivot somewhere else. Now, we've touched on the fine food culture of Orange and the Central West, and it's something that you touched on at the top of the interview. But how does our region compare to others that you've visited or worked in over those years as a chef and in hospitality?
Look, I think Orange is a fabulous region. The whispers of a foodie town region got us to come down from Noosa, and I think Orange has done a fabulous job at marketing that, certainly in the 10 years we've been here, but obviously they've done a good job before that. But it is, like, there's festivals on in every season. There's a food festival, there's a wine festival, there's Frost Fest, there's the bonfire, the fire festival.
Winter Festival, we'll give that a plug. Big plug to Caddy Marshall and the team there at Orange 360.
And I heard whispers there's a music festival, jazz festival coming. So, there's something for every season. And the seasonality of Orange is great too, but I think people love coming from Sydney in the middle of winter to a roaring fire and the possible snowflakes. So it's got a good, strong pull. Well,
hopefully those snowflakes aren't too soon. I'm still holding out for another month or two. But look, we're going to change pace and change tack and ask Jeremy a couple of the fast five. 3 dream dinner guests that you'd love to have over for dinner, and if they came over, what would you serve?
So the dream dinner guest, I had to think about this one a little bit, but my father passed away about 6 years ago, so it'd have to be Dad with my brother and sister, just because the combo is great. And dinner would be a Gruyere souffle, followed by a saddle of roe deer, which was something I became very partial to in Scotland.
What is that, sorry, for the
Well, a saddle of roe deer, it's the fillet on the back of a roe deer, which is a small sort of forest deer, and in Scotland, it's quite nice. You can go out and sort of shoot one, and then prepare it. And it's, or you can buy it from a game dealer. But it's some of the best meat I've ever eaten. And I know Dad loved it because he's been over there with me, and we sort of did that journey together. And I think Dad's favourite dessert, was a lemon delicious. So for me, that'd be it.
Well, it's a bit early, but I'm getting hungry. Last book you read or movie you saw?
The last movie I saw was last night, and it was terrible. And it was called Those Who Wish Me Dead, and it came about by Jamie Martin, who's a barista with us and has been with us for about 7 years. We have a bit of banter together so we sort of share movie experiences. So if he sees one that he thinks I like, which is more often than not coming from him, he's like, Jez, you got to watch this one. And Anyway, that was a bad one.
I'll tell you, I won't ask for a more in-depth review. I think we'll know where you'll get to. So maybe one for Rotten Tomatoes. Now, you worked as a chef for the McLaren racing team, which was something that I thought was quite cool when I was doing my research. Yep. But what is one of the best sites you visited as part of that working experience?
I think it would have to be Budapest.
Okay.
Budapest Grand Prix. It's a beautiful city set on the river. And then after that Grand Prix, we had the privilege to go and stay with the winemaker by the name of Willie Oppitz, who makes all the wine for McLaren. He's a very small boutique winemaker, but he makes wine for McLaren and he makes wine for British Airways First Class, and that's his bag. So he invited us back to his house in Ilmitz in Austria for a couple of days, and we picked a vintage of Pinot. And we had, he used to just bring trays of bubbles out on sunset and pork knuckles with fresh horseradish, and it was a cracker. And he's won his famous flavour combination, which I'll never forget, because he made this delicious ice vine. And the combo to have with that was vanilla ice cream with pumpkin seed oil. Okay. Can't beat it. That was pretty good fun. There
you go. And now there's plenty of good places to get a coffee. And if we're not at Byng Street, where's somewhere that you go to grab a coffee or a meal in Orange or the region?
So I think my favourite go-to and frequently visit would be Raku for a meal. I think the guys there do a great job. It's simple, but the food's amazing. And you know, you can find me having a kimchi pork there at least once a week, or their flame-seared salmon salad, which is really good. And I think Ricky's in East Orange, we've recently started this morning training camp. So we go there and have a first coffee of the day because he's open at 6 and it's a great coffee, and yeah, that'd be my two picks.
Well, there you go, sharing it around, which is good. Hidden gem of the Central West. So this can be a person, a place, a venue, a location. So when we've got visitors coming into our region, it's somewhere you like to showcase for them.
I'm going to say person, and I'm going to say Philip Shaw.
Okay, yep.
He's a very quirky man. He comes to Byng Street a lot. He's a neighbour of ours. We sort of can look over his beautiful vineyard from our house, and I just love his eccentricity, and he's a genius for his time when it comes to winemaking, and yeah, he's a good fella.
Definitely an institution for the region.
Absolutely.
So look, getting back onto some of the questions. It was a challenging 12, 18 months that we've just navigated. As a hospitality business, how did your business have to pivot and change, I guess? And then what did you learn about your business through that period?
We had to reinvent the wheel, like many businesses in town did. And it was a bit of a sort of panic at the start, and we're like, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? And we luckily we just finished the renovations at Byng Street, so we had the takeaway window, which was permissible, and we found that that was very well frequented by our customers, and we just, as we had to take chefs and everything out of the equation, we kept the chefs on board making lasagnas and just really simple, homely, comfortable food, which churned out the window, which was great. We just opened Bloomfield Medical Centre Cafe out there, Cafe Bloom, and that wasn't good. That wasn't good out there because we were the first business in the building, and there wasn't really anyone out there, so that pretty much stopped overnight. But the coffee cart at the Orange Medical Service at the hospital, it probably went up in sales by 100%. And that was a situation because the volunteers' kiosk had to be closed down. So, it works, and then we seek permission from the hospital to do more of a food offering there because there was nothing. So, some things went down, but other things equaled out. But I think in the long run, we did pretty well out of it.
And how were the stimulus measures received from you as a local small and medium business that was directly impacted by the restrictions?
Yeah.
What did that mean for your business and keeping staff employed here locally in the Central West?
Yeah, that was, JobKeeper for us. We qualified for the first round, not the second round, but I think it saved a lot of bacon in this town.
How many staff did you have kind of employed that were reliant on that?
Ballpark. 25 or 30, I'm going to say.
Yeah, and it just shows you that the need that was there, and I guess the challenges
it was amazing. But then the fact that we didn't have, I think we only paid one BAS for for that year, which was great. So there's some tax implications that really pretty much got us ahead, and we came out of that spiral looking pretty positive, and we're able to focus the money we'd put aside for tax in other areas to reduce a bit of debt. So it was good.
Yeah, and it's just amazing to see the visitation to the region over the last 12 months.
Yep.
Yeah, we were talking about this off air about all the people you see lining up for a coffee outside the window here and coming through. But one of the key things is probably, and we've touched on it, is the different tourism offerings that are available here. Mm-hmm. But what's your key event that you look forward to each year in Orange and the region? And which one do you think drives the most visitation to your cafe?
It's sad to say, but I think I've only been to one event. In the 10 years, because we were so caught up in catering and new business and head down and working hard, I think for the first 5 or 6 years we were heavily involved in Food Week and Wine Week, and we were doing weddings, and there was lots of catering, and life just sort of, the last 10 years has been a bit of a blur. So I think the first event we went to that we weren't hosting ourselves was Day on the Green, and it was great, and I can't wait till the next one. And we're trying to get tickets for grazing down the Lachlan this year, which I think would be good. But I'd love to get myself to. I'd love to do forage, and yeah, so I haven't done any.
Well, look, we'll have to give a plug and a shout out to the guys down there at Grazing Down the Lachlan. It is a cracker of an event.
I've heard it's very good.
And the guys at Heifer Station. Hello, good morning, Michelle, to you and your team. Look, you grew up in Albury. You're a regional boy. You've set your business up here in Orange in the Central West. But what would be some of your advice to people tuning in this morning who are looking to make the move into our region? And what are some of the positives as a business owner that you've seen by establishing your business here in our region?
I think as a business owner coming to the region initially was, for me, I saw there was a lot of room where this kind of business could be improved, and that's probably one of the reasons. So, having travelled the world and worked at high levels in catering in London and all over Europe, you sort of see things at this level, and this is no disrespect to anything in Orange, but when you come here, you can just see, wow, there's opportunity here, and that for us that was, let's have a crack and let's put our stamp on some things and see where it takes us.
And I guess you've touched on the challenges of being a business owner and being set up there, over the journey in the old room where the coffee machine is this morning. But it's difficult. But what's one of those key pieces of advice that you've received that's really stayed with you and helped you on your journey so far?
I think you just got to set your goals and stick to them and be true to them, and don't listen to what anyone else says. Don't let anyone take the wind out of your sails and say you're not doing this properly, or you got to believe in yourself and you got to work hard and be committed, and you'll get there.
I think you're right. I think it's just that perseverance. That's something that's come through with a lot of these chats that we've done.
Yeah.
And really committing 100% to make sure and put the effort in. So look, just finishing up this morning, looking into the crystal ball, Jeremy, what's your prediction, I guess, for your business and your group of businesses, I guess, and the region over the next 12 to 18 months?
I think the next 12 to 18 months for our region and for a lot of regions in New South Wales or Australia are going to be, we're riding a bit of a wave here at the moment, a bit of a boom, and I think everyone's feeling it. I think as long as the international borders stay closed, I think that's going to be great. But I think realistically, 2022, 23, those borders are going to open again. I think we're going to see a lot of people going for that overseas trip that they've been unable to do. But for us, we're focusing on the prize now, and we're going to make the most of what's happening now, and we're expanding into a few little things that are going to sort of diversify our business more and hopefully give us a bit more of a solid foundation for the future. I think the future feels good. Yeah,
it's exciting, and I think you're right. This period of additional visitation, businesses doing well, a lot of people, investing in local businesses, set those foundations, get those processes in place that holds them in good stead into the future. But just before we finish up this morning, Jeremy, what's the easiest way for listeners and viewers to engage with you, to learn more about Byng Street local store, And what's the easiest way for them to do that?
Look, I'm happy for anyone to get in touch with us here at the store. I think my email address, we're currently redoing a website, but I think there's an email address on the Byng Street holding page, www.byngstreet.com.au. Failing that, I'm usually sitting up there at 6:45 to 7:15 every morning having a coffee, so feel free to pop in and have a chat.
That's your window. It's a short window, but it is there. But look, we'll put all the handles up for the Byng Street social media pages and the website for anyone that's wanting to learn more about the different offerings that are available. But look, Jeremy, thank you so much for your time. Great to learn a little bit more about your professional journey, the vision that you've got for your business and the contribution you're making to the region. But for everybody else, have a great day, a great weekend, and we'll see you same time next Friday. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Sam. Thank you very much. Thank you.